Are you interested in a fulfilling career in healthcare that will improve someone's life by helping them breathe easy? Wake Tech now offers an associate degree in respiratory therapy, and we're excited to share important information about this new program and how you can get started. Respiratory therapy is a vital healthcare profession that focuses on assessing and treating patients. Respiratory therapists collaborate with doctors and nurses and other healthcare professionals to provide essential care for patients of all ages in various clinical settings. They may recommend appropriate diagnostic and therapeutic procedures based on patient data, manage patient care by performing medical procedures, monitor patients' physiological responses to therapy, and consult with the medical team, among many other things. Wake Tech's respiratory therapy program is a 5-semester program that focuses on developing proficiency in respiratory care practices, enabling graduates to carry out diagnostic and therapeutic process. This program is full-time and starts in the fall, which is usually mid-August. The classes will be during the daytime hours. While general education classes can be completed at any campus, the respiratory therapy classes will be taught at the Perry Health Science campus, and clinical sites will be all over the Wake County and surrounding areas within a 38-mile radius. You can expect a rigorous curriculum that requires a significant time commitment and financial commitment. It also may make it challenging to work while you're enrolled in the program. You'll gain 800 hours of hands-on experience in clinical settings, including adult, pediatric, neonatal, emergency, and pulmonary diagnostics. And upon completing the program, students will be eligible to pursue certification through the National Board of Respiratory Care and obtain a license. Ready to get started? Wake Tech's respiratory therapy program will be a limited enrollment program that has a selective competitive admissions process. The first step in being considered for the program is becoming a Wake Tech student. Once you've completed the general college admissions process, you will be accepted as a pre-respiratory therapy student. As a pre-respiratory therapy student, you'll be able to begin working on the minimum requirements and general education classes required for the program. Once you have completed the minimum requirements, which we'll go over in a few minutes, but can also be found on the respiratory therapy checklist, you'll be able to submit an application to the program. This is a separate application from your application to the college. We'll only accept students once a year. Applications will open on October 1st of each year and be due by January 31st for the following fall start date. You will not be able to begin actual respiratory therapy classes unless you've submitted the program application. Admissions will be based on a point ranking system, and applicants will be ranked based on the courses that they've completed. If accepted, you'll be notified, and your next step will be attending a program orientation. You can get started by going to apply.waketech.edu. Don't forget to request your transcripts from your past institutions. It's important that you request all transcripts to be sent as early as possible. This will allow our Records and Registration Office time to evaluate potential credit from previous colleges and universities. If you plan on pursuing financial aid, don't forget to complete the FAFSA. You'll also complete this information session, and don't forget to complete the quiz of understanding at the end. Once you have completed the admissions process, meet with a healthcare and wellness care team advisor to develop your academic plan and determine a timeline for applying to the respiratory therapy program. When you're accepted to Wake Tech, you will first be a pre-respiratory therapy student. There are certain minimum standards that must be met before you can jump in to respiratory therapy classes. During this time, you'll be assigned to the healthcare and wellness care team. You'll have access to advisors to develop your academic plan, as well as a career coach to help you understand career opportunities in healthcare, and a success coach that can help you with success planning. You will be able to register for your general education classes as a pre-respiratory therapy student. While the actual respiratory classes only start in the fall, you can start general education classes in the fall, spring, or summer semesters. If you have already completed some general education coursework, this will give our records office time to evaluate your transcripts so that we can determine if you will receive credit for your prior coursework. If you're taking classes at another institution prior to applying or while you're enrolled at Wake Tech, always remember to send us your final transcript showing completion of any classes. So what do you need to apply to the respiratory therapy program? The following requirements must be complete prior to the application deadline. Once you've met these requirements, you can submit the program application during the October 1st through January 31st application window. The first requirement will be demonstrating English and reading proficiency. This just means that you must meet the prerequisite to be eligible to register for English 111 without a co-requisite course. This can be met in a number of different ways, and your advisor will go over that with you in your first advising meeting. You'll also need to meet the science requirement. This means being eligible to register for Bio 163, Anatomy and Physiology. If you took chemistry in high school and you were successful in that course, then we can potentially use that credit to allow you to take Bio 163. If not, you can take a class with us here. Chemo 90 or a general biology class will make you eligible to register for Bio 163. You'll also need to take the TEAS test. The ATI TEAS is a timed exam developed to measure essential skills in the areas of reading, math, science, and English. There is no minimum score required, but you can be awarded points for scores of 63 or higher, and scores are good for 3 years. Another requirement is that you must either be a nurse aide or a medical assistant. You have to be listed on the North Carolina Nurse Aide Registry as a Nurse Aide 1 by the application deadline, or have completed an associate degree or diploma in medical assisting. Other healthcare-related associate degrees may be considered upon program director's approval. If you don't have nurse aide, medical assistant, or other healthcare experience, then you can take the nurse aide course through Wake Tech. The Nurse Aide Training Program is offered through Wake Tech's Workforce Continuing Education Division. This class typically fills up pretty quickly, so you want to make sure that you're planning on when you're going to take the class in your academic timeline, and you know well ahead of time when you need to register for it. The course doesn't have to be taken at Wake Tech. It is offered at many other community colleges, and it's offered at some private institutions. For a list of approved training facilities, you can contact an advisor. The last slide listed the bare minimum requirements to be eligible to apply. Once you've met those, you can put in your application. What if we have more applicants than we have seats available? Just meeting those requirements may not be enough to get you into the program if we have a large number of applicants. So how can you be more competitive? The first step is to complete general education classes and to get good grades. You can see that there are 5 general education classes that can be taken prior to the respiratory therapy program. You can complete English 111 and 112, a humanities elective, a general psychology, and your anatomy and physiology class, Bio 163. Keep in mind, to receive points for that Bio 163, the class must be completed within 5 years of the first respiratory class. If you're eventually wanting to pursue a bachelor's degree, it is highly recommended that you take Bio 168 and Bio 169 in place of the Bio 163 to receive transfer credit. As you can see, there are points associated with the grade that you get. So you get more points for an A versus a B versus a C. So to be competitive, you want to have higher grades so that you have more points. So how can you ensure that you get those higher grades? Generally, we suggest that you don't take on too many classes. Your English courses, your psychology, your humanities, they'll be rigorous courses that require a number of papers and assignments. Your anatomy, that Bio 163, that is a 5 credit hour science class with a lab. It will require a large amount of time for studying, and it's also a foundational course. You need to understand that anatomy material so that you can be successful in your respiratory classes. So it's important that you do well in these classes and you truly understand the material. So we encourage you not to take too many classes in one semester. It can be tempting so that you can get the most points to try to take all the classes that you can in a semester. But if you're spending a lot of time on a lot of classes, then you don't have enough time to study for each one of those and devote enough time for each one to truly learn that material. So you may want to split them up. You also want to make sure that you're using your resources and that you have time to use those resources. You have academic advisor, care team, career coach, success coach. You have the learning center where you can get tutoring. If you need a quiet place to study, you can come to campus and use the library. There's all sorts of resources that Wake Tech offers you that can help you be successful. And if you're working a full-time job, you have family responsibilities, you're taking a full-time course load, then you may not have time to use those resources. And that can be the difference in you getting a C versus getting a B, or getting a B versus getting an A. And as you can see in the slide before, the better your grades, the more points you get. So while taking a lot of classes up front can be helpful in completing things faster, it may not help you if you're not able to get the maximum amount of points that you might need. You also want to take time to develop an academic plan and timeline. Know when these deadlines are for applying. Know that we're only going to give you points for classes that have been completed by that application deadline. You're only going to be eligible to apply if you've completed your nurse aid certification prior to the deadline. You've completed the T's prior to the deadline. You want to have all of this stuff done in a certain time period. You want to work with your academic advisor to ensure that you come up with a plan that works for you and your needs. And working on these things, study skills, time management, self-discipline, motivation, they're going to help you in your classes and help you be more competitive, but they're also going to make you more prepared for the rigors of the respiratory therapy program once you're accepted. Another way to be competitive is doing well on the T's. While there isn't a minimum score required for it, as I mentioned before, you can get points if you score a 63 composite score or above. The higher you score, the more points you get. The TEAS test is a timed exam consisting of reading, math, science, English, and language usage. You will schedule the test through ATI. The TEAS test is expensive, so we recommend scheduling the test when you're fully prepared. It's hard for us to know when you might be prepared. You'll want to take a look at examples online, knowing that reading, math, science, English, and language usage are big parts of it. You may want to wait until you've completed your anatomy, until you've completed at least one English class. There are prep materials that you can check out from the library. You can purchase materials, but you'll want to be thinking about this TEAS exam, understanding what's required of it, and preparing ahead of time so that you know when you're going to take it and how much time you need to put forth in studying and preparing for it. Scores must be within 3 years, and you also have to send those scores directly from ATI to the institution. You can request that they be sent to hsadvising@waketech.edu. We do have a retest policy. You may test twice per calendar year. You do have to wait 30 days between tests. We will not use test scores that do not meet the retest policy. Keep in mind, we superscore. This means that we use the highest score per section. So let's say you take the test twice, and maybe the first time you do better on the reading section, and then the second time you do better on the math section. We'll use the highest score from each of those tests to put together your composite score to help you get the most points possible out of all of your attempts. There are other opportunities for points. Applicants will receive 2 points for reapplying and submitting the program application. The 2 points will only be awarded once. So let's say that you apply this year and you aren't accepted, and you apply again next year. When you apply that second time, you'll get 2 points simply for submitting the application again. Applicants will also be awarded 2 points for the completion of an allied health-related degree. Official transcripts must be submitted to the college, and points are based on the program director's approval. Some things to remember. The respiratory therapy program is a limited enrollment program. This means that space in the program is limited, and depending on the number of applicants we receive, we may not be able to admit every competitive applicant. Admissions is not guaranteed. There is no wait list. If you are not accepted for this fall class, you will have to apply again for the next admission cycle. If there are more competitive applicants than seats available, there may be alternates. These students are invited to the program orientation in the event that an accepted student declines their seat before the start of the fall term. If you do not get accepted as an alternate, then you will have to put in a new application in the next year. You must complete the respiratory therapy program application by the application deadline to be considered for the respiratory therapy courses. If you've met all of the requirements and you do not submit an application, you will not be considered. You also want to make sure that all program documents are on file. Your application to the college, the separate program application, any transcripts, your nurse aid or healthcare documentation, T-scores, etc. And all of these documents need to be on file by the application deadline. And don't forget, if you are taking classes at another college, make sure that we have the most updated transcript with current grades. Keep in mind, if you are admitted to the program, you will be required to meet clinical site requirements, such as criminal background checks, drug testing, and providing health and immunization information. WakeTech requires this information to be on file for each health science student prior to starting the clinical portion of their health science program. Results of these tests can impact your ability to complete your respiratory therapy courses and therefore your ability to meet program requirements or completion. Health and immunization requirements for clinical sites are frequently updated and subject to change. For more information, contact Barbara Smith, our Clinical Compliance Administrator. Are you ready to get started? If you have completed all of the requirements and you're ready to submit a respiratory therapy program application, go to the respiratory program page and select admissions. The program application will be a link on the respiratory admissions page. Remember, the application will only be open from October 1st until January 31st. Maybe you aren't sure if you're eligible or not? Make an appointment with a healthcare and wellness advisor today. Go to advising.waketech.edu and select Healthcare and Wellness to view appointment options. Do you have additional questions? Feel free to reach out to us at hsadvising@waketech.edu. And don't forget to complete the quiz of understanding after completing the information session video.